Hey folks, hope you're enjoying Dragonflight. Today we're going to touch on a few different builds here for the Vengeance Demon Hunter. Key items we're going to touch on, we're going to look at two Mythic Plus builds right off the hop here. This Demon Hunter is level 60, so we're just in the progression of pushing it to level 70. What we will do is take these builds and put them down in the video description, so take a moment to go check them out there if you're so interested. Between level 60 and then when you get to 70, you'll gain 5 additional points in both your class tree as well as your spec tree. So definitely more to come in terms of what the builds look like. You will get some more capstone talents down here as the game progresses. So let's jump right into it. The build you're looking at right now, we're going to start on the class tree side. We will continue to take quicken sigils here. We'll leave the hunt as kind of a go-to element, but we'll prioritize the remaining 3 points in Erratic Fellheart. Just having the cooldown of Infernal Strike dropped dramatically is fantastic. And then finally getting access to Collective Anguish, which was a legendary for us. Having that just on the tip of your hands or tip of your fingers right at the start of the expansion is going to be a lot of fun and is going to keep it from feeling like a major power drop off for us. Now this build on the spec side, we're going to continue with ultimately our Spirit Bomb build and continue to work the left hand side of the tree. We'll end up putting a point here in Soul Crush, so multiple applications of frailty may overlap. I really appreciate that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Soul Carver is going to be a bunch of fun here as well. So we'll get access to that capstone. Additionally, we get access to Last Resort. And then you get to play around. Are you going to go with Fodder of the Flame and have access to yet another legendary ability? Or Elysian Decree? Elysian Decree isn't the be-all for me personally. I like Fodder to the Flame. It kind of helps your maximum health in terms of heals. Also drives up some shadow damage, and there's some other components here earlier on in the tree that are really complementary to this. But having access to 4 capstone abilities is among the best you'll see of any of the classes. Now, if you're not pushing incredibly high content or challenging content, and you're focused more on your DPS, which I'd say should be probably the more popular builds, you can go with the following tree. No changes to the class breakdown, but when we do look over here at Vengeance, we actually move away from utilizing Last Resort. So we'll put points in Soul Crush as well as Soul Carver. We won't put any points in Stroke the Flames or Feed the Demon or Last Resort. Our points next will actually show up in Building Off of Charred Flesh, Down in Flames. So Fiery Brand having a 15-second reduced cooldown and 1 additional charge. That's effectively a legendary for us. And then we'll continue with Fodder to the Flame. That's going to drive the most DPS overall with this specific build. We're not getting away from Spirit Bomb build in any way in the Mythic Plus space. It's an absolute go-to for us, similar to Dark Glare Boon. Absolutely critical for us from where we're sitting. But yeah, overall, great access to some capstones, so a lot more to come. Now when we pause for a minute and take a look at our raid builds, I'm going to throw up the first build here. It's our progression-based build. There won't be any change here specifically to the abilities that we're identifying in the class tree. We're going to continue with Erratic Fellheart, Collective Anguish, and then Quicken Sigils. Very simple. There is some utility here if you want to make some choices around maybe Soul Sigils isn't as important to you as Darkness. Having access to Darkness is a ton of fun. I know it's a 5-minute cooldown, but I think it's going to allow Demon Hunters to really push some progression-based groups pretty high. However, when we jump over to the talent builds, we get a little bit closer to that defensive looking build for Mythic Plus. We're going to go with Soul Crush as a capstone, Soul Carver, Last Resort, and then we're jumping back into Fodder to the Flame. Pretty straightforward build here. Like, you won't see any real variability. Keeping Dark Glare Boon topped up, but overall, like, the key talents in this build are pretty straightforward. There's some optionality here, like if you wanted to drop one of the calcified spikes to take the damage reduction change and go with like meteoric strikes instead, reduce the cooldown of Infernal Strike by 8 seconds. Yeah, it just kind of depends on what you think your build needs to look like, and if you need that additional kiting 20-second recharge, yeah, you're gonna have to be a little smart with how this plays out. Finally, let's go with the offensive based raid build. We'll see it here in just in a moment. Offensively, we're going to look pretty darn similar. We will take meteoric strikes this time. However, we'll be going with Down in Flames, Fodder to the Flame, Soul Carver, and Soul Crush. That's the straightforward build. Probably the big key element change here is that we will continue to take the hunt, but there's an argument to be had depending on what kind of parses you're getting after, or if you actually want to push that even further and go after Unnatural Malice if you want to go for a little bit higher deeps. But I'll leave that up to you. Ultimately, everybody's got a different perspective in terms of what damage based parses is going to look like for them. Overall, Demon Hunter's going to be a ton of fun. Alright folks, let me know down below, is this going to be as enjoyable for you as what I'm suggesting here, or are we into something totally different and crazy? Drop it down in the comments. Thanks for talking. See you soon. Peace.